welcome to my channel. I just wanted to start off by saying I am not a medical professional. This is information based off of my own experience. New with YouTube, so bear with me. I am here to share my health journey with you all. I just want to throw it out there before I get started that I may ugly cry. So just wanted to throw that out there. So here we go. I have notes here to help me get through it so I don't have to pause and say all the time. So here we go. All right, so December 5th, 2023 is when this all started. I first want to start off by saying I have a 3.5-year-old daughter. So at the time she was 2. So on December 5th, 2023, I was holding my daughter and like I always have, I set her down and my back seized up. So I thought my back went out on me. It just, at that moment, I remember just feeling like electric shock. It just was the worst pain I've ever felt. So the next day, that day, I actually had to take my daughter to a photo shoot for modeling. And it was an 1.5-hour drive. And that drive was the longest 1.5-hour drive I've ever had. It just was so long because I just could not find any position to get comfortable. So after we got home, I decided to go to urgent care. We live in North Carolina, so I don't know, every place is different, you know, as far as healthcare goes. So there was an urgent care that was just like, you know, maybe 10 minutes away. So I went there and they did a couple of x-rays and some blood work. What else did they do? Blood work, x-rays. Oh, and they did a EKG because I had, not only did I have back pain, but I also had really like heavy feeling weight on my chest. So they wanted to make sure that I wasn't having a heart attack. So they did that. Everything came back normal. So they sent me home. I thought that, you know, maybe it'll just get better from here on out. So a week goes by and the pain is still really, really, really bad. So I go back to urgent care, a different one, for a second opinion. And they did an x-ray again. And then they did, what other test? They just did an x-ray that time and then just an exam. And I missed, so this was actually an orthopedic urgent care. So I wanted to go there because it was like kind of specialized, you know, for what I was dealing with. So the x-ray and just an exam, and they actually diagnosed me with sciatica, that was all. And they prescribed me steroids. I think it was a week's worth. I went home, started taking the steroids, finished them, noticed no relief at all. At this moment, the only symptom I had was just a really, really bad backache. It just hurt really bad. Again, I thought I told the two doctors that I had seen at this point, I told them, you know, that I think it had something to do with, you know, holding my toddler, and, you know, my back is just, it's just kind of can't handle the weight of her anymore. You know, she's bigger. And so they, I had told them that, and, you know, so it was no surprise that, you know, maybe sciatica had something to do with, you know, just the heavy weight of holding my daughter all the time. So I went back. So I went back after I had finished the steroids, and they asked, how they worked, and I told them I had no relief, and they said that they wanted to do an MRI on my spine. So I had the MRI, and that test turns out that I had a herniated disc. So now I have sciatica and a herniated disc, and they said they wanted to do steroid injections for the herniated disc. So I scheduled that, went and had that done. The next day, I had worse pain. It was just, I didn't think it could get worse, but it seemed that the steroid injections actually made my back pain worse. So anyway, I had my follow-up appointment, and I saw a different doctor this time. And this gentleman told me that I did not have a herniated disc. I guess I had no knowledge about this at all, but I guess everybody does have some kind of herniated disc. It's just no one has like a perfect spine. So there was enough of a herniated disc in my spine for them to diagnose me with that. So he said that, everybody has a herniated disc, but yours is not, there's not anything to be really too concerned about. So I think that your option now is to see a specialist, spine specialist. So they sent over the images over to a specialist, and this doctor said, I don't see anything wrong with your spine. Everything looks normal. There is a little bit of a herniated disc, but again, he said the same thing that this other doctor said. Everybody has a little bit the word he said was a bulge disc. Everyone has a little bit. So he said, I really don't know what to do for you because your spine looks fine. So he said, I think the best thing to do now is to see a neurologist. So I ended up seeing a neurologist who was concerned that I might have MS because I'm female and my age and my symptoms. He said, I want to make sure that this isn't MS, so I'm going to have an MRI. I want to get an MRI on your brain, and I also want to do an EMG test to look for other diseases. So an EMG test, if you don't know, it's a test where they stick needles in your wherever. You can do it on a bunch of different spots, but they ended up doing it on my back. So they put needles and they pretty much send shock waves, like you're getting electrocuted pretty much. And they send waves, and it pretty much, like I said, it kind of electrocutes you to see if your nerves and muscles are responding and working properly. So he wanted me to have that test done too to look for, all the other disease. He was, ALS. There's a lot of different tests that you can determine what diseases you have with the EMG test, if that makes any sense at all. So those two tests would give us more information as to what I could potentially have. So I had both tests, both came back normal. My brain MRI came back normal, and my EMG test came back normal. So now we're stumped. We have no idea what's going on. I've already been misdiagnosed once, and now we've done pretty much all the testing that you can do. So what do we do now? So at this point, a diagnosis is huge, but getting my pain under control is now top priority, because this is in June of 2024 now, and I've had these tests done. My pain is significantly worse. It seems to just keep getting worse, and I'm just taking ibuprofen. So my neurologist refers me to a pain specialist. I ended up seeing a pain management doctor to try to manage my pain. I went over my whole experience with him, and he looked at me and he said, I can't believe that you have been just taking ibuprofen. I can't believe that you have been through all of this. This must just be so hard for you, having a 2-year-old, and I see you have a nanny. I had a nanny drive me to this appointment, and he said, I can't imagine how difficult this has been for you. You know, the pain and just, you know, the misdiagnosing, not being able to get a diagnosis, and just, you know, how my quality of life has been since from December until June. So months of the pain and not being able to do my one and only job as a stay-at-home mom. It felt like my life was put on hold. I had the nanny we had, this was number 3. So just trying to find a nanny that was a right fit was a challenge. And so it was just really quite a difficult time in my life. And this specific doctor recognized it. He saw the pain in my eyes. He saw that I was just under a tremendous amount of, I wouldn't say stress, like I would say grief. I just wanted to just get answers. So he ordered for me to have the EMG test again, which is the test that I had mentioned earlier. The nerve conducting test is what it is also called. He wanted me to have that test done again, and then he wanted me to have a spinal tap. So, because also sometimes you may not see something in a brain MRI. So another way to find out if you have MS or any other diseases is through a spinal tap. So he ordered those tests. I had those done, and again, they came back normal. He also had some more blood work done. One of the tests that I had for my blood work showed that I had connective tissue disease. So he referred me over to a rheumatologist. That rheumatologist had a wait of, I think it was 6 months. I couldn't wait another 6 months for answers. I just couldn't do it. So I called my insurance and I had them send me a list of nearby doctors, and I think I called about 65 doctors. And I had mentioned earlier that I'm in North Carolina. I don't know about where you live, but here we are in the Raleigh area, and it is growing at the fastest rate. I can't even begin to tell you how fast it's growing. So it is extremely hard to get in with a doctor here. Even just a regular, primary care doctor, you're looking at 3 months. So I called 65 doctors, and I found one in the area that could see me the very next day. So I made an appointment and I saw her, and this rheumatologist, she went through all my records and everything, and I told her, I said, I really think that I have lupus. And she said, well, I'm gonna order some blood work, but yeah, you were ANA positive, but being ANA positive does not mean that you have lupus or any other autoimmune disease. She said, that does not tell us anything, but from what I'm looking at right in front of me, it looks, you don't fit the criteria for someone that has lupus. So she said, I think that you're stressed out, and I think that you might just be depressed because of your situation and having a 2-year-old daughter. I think that you should see a psychologist and do water aerobics. So I just broke down into tears, and I couldn't believe what I had just heard. So I left, and I said, I need to find another rheumatologist. This rheumatologist does not know what she's talking about. So I call my insurance, and I'm like, okay, let's think outside the box, and let's find a rheumatologist in a further radius. We don't need to have one here in the area. Like, I'm willing to drive further to see a different rheumatologist. So I found one an hour and a half away. So my husband drove us to see a rheumatologist an hour and a half away. And this rheumatologist was very thorough. I really liked her. She was checking every inch of my body just to see, if she saw any kind of rashes or anything. So she ran some more blood work and some more testing, and I had to wait like 3 weeks because they had to send my labs to California. So she calls, she says, everything looks normal. All of your blood work looks normal. I don't know what more I can do for you. My mom is a rheumatologist with more experience. Maybe you can get in to see her. So before I scheduled to see her mother, at this point, this is in August, I was planning on calling this other rheumatologist, but I am spending night and day, and I mean from December, or I'm sorry, it was actually more like January or February, because I was still really certain that I was going to find a doctor that was going to diagnose me. So it wasn't until I was misdiagnosed and I had seen all of these doctors so it might have actually, now I think about it, it was probably it wasn't January, February. Now we're looking at, June and July. I decided to take this into my own hands. I can't stress enough that you are your own advocate. Nobody is going to know you like you know yourself, your body. You know what's normal, what's not normal. And you care about yourself and your well-being. So getting answers is not always going to be from a medical professional. It's going to be you. You are going to be the one that is going to push and push until you get the answers that you deserve. So I just can't stress that enough, that is that is really the hard truth, is you are your own advocate in life. So I spent countless hours researching and just, I mean, I can't tell you how any chance I had, I was Googling, researching to see what I could find, because nothing was showing, no tests were showing. So my blood work wasn't telling us anything. The EMG wasn't telling us anything. My MRIs weren't telling us anything. So I just spent a lot of time trying to find answers. The Monday after Easter of 2024, I was giving my daughter a bath, and I was getting her in her pajamas. My husband was downstairs, and I felt like there was an elephant sitting on my chest. It was the worst pain I've ever felt. So I called my husband. I said, I feel like an elephant sitting on my chest. I can't breathe. I can't take a breath. I'm hurting really bad. And so he told me to call 911. So I called 911. The paramedics came. They took me to the hospital and ran more tests. They ended up sending me home because they said that I was fine. I didn't have there was no concerns. They didn't feel that they needed to admit me. So I ended up going home that night. So from March until August, we have had about three nannies. I used to, because I was really nervous about somebody driving my car and my daughter, I used to drive them to story time at the library and the playground and our local pool here in our community. And I used to just sit in the car on my ice pack and watch from the car. I couldn't even get out. I had to sit on my ice pack or my heating pad. I have been using heat and ice now for over a year. Never missed a day, all day, every day. I have not missed that because I'm homebound. So I had a really hard time not being able to do the things that I once was able to, but I was able to watch my daughter play at the playground while I would sit there and be able to watch her from the car. So it's definitely very difficult to be in this situation, because I want to be able to do these things. I haven't been able to really do a whole lot for me as well. So, you know, I always love to get my nails done. I can't do that. I haven't had my hair done in almost a year. So I've resorted to wigs. This is a wig. I also do my makeup, and I have, ever since I got sick, I haven't stopped doing my makeup. So I use just a little handheld mirror, and I get ready in my bed with a handheld mirror. I refuse to let my situation stop me from being, you know, who I always have been. I've always liked to do my hair and makeup, so I do that still. And because I'm not able to get my hair done, I have a lot of gray, so, you know, this wig and wearing headbands to cover up the gray is really all I can do. I can't blow dry my hair because I have a lot of muscle weakness. I can't lift my arms up. I actually am still I'm a cane user, so that gets me moving more than I was able to before. August of 2024, I was spending time with my daughter, and I was, at this point, from December until this moment, August, I have been bed and couch ridden. I'm homebound. I cannot really do much because I'm just in so much pain, and I have severe muscle weakness. That was something else that I was experiencing that I knew wasn't normal. I was sitting on the couch with my daughter, and my husband was not home at the time. And I just remember my daughter had to go to the bathroom. We were potty training at the time. And I stood up off the couch, and I could not put one foot in front of the other. I physically could not walk. So I just sat back down, and I waited for my husband to get home. And as soon as he got home, I said, "You have to take me to the emergency room. I cannot walk." I could not put one foot in front of the other. So it took about 45 minutes to get from the bathroom to the driveway. I remembered that I felt that nobody was going to be able to find out what was wrong with me, because now we're at a point where I've seen every specialist, I've seen 2 rheumatologists, and nobody can find out what's wrong with me. And now I can't. I was admitted that day in August. I was admitted in the hospital, and they said, "We're not going to send you home. The fact that you can't walk is very concerning, so we are going to admit you." I forgot to mention that also before that day in August when I couldn't walk, 3 days prior, I had called my rheumatologist, and I had said that I wanted to have a muscle biopsy because none of my blood work was showing that I had lupus, but I also had self-diagnosed myself with dermatomyositis. And so when I had diagnosed myself with those two, the rheumatologist that I saw, I told her that I thought I had lupus. She ran all those tests and I did not have lupus. She didn't think I had lupus. Well, none of my blood work and all the other tests that I had shown that I had lupus. But at this point, I had also discovered that I had dermatomyositis. So I had called her and I left a message with the nurse and I said, I think that I have dermatomyositis and I want to have a muscle biopsy. They hadn't called me. 3 days later was when I wound up at the emergency room. They admitted me. They did more blood work and they had an EMG nerve conducting test done again. And I ended up seeing a neurologist who said that my EMG came back normal and that he was convinced that something was definitely wrong, and he believed me. So he had a muscle biopsy scheduled for me to get done 2 days later at the hospital. I had the muscle biopsy done and I was in the hospital for, I have it here, let's see here, because I always forget, 11 days I was in the hospital. So we got the preliminary results for that when I was in the hospital, and they had shown that I had myositis. So they didn't want me to have to stay and wait for the results because it was going to take a lot longer. So the fact that the preliminary results showed that I had myositis, they ended up starting me on prednisone, a high dose of prednisone, and I sent me home. I, at this point, was able to walk with a walker. So I came home with a walker. I was still very weak. I had a physical therapist come here, occupational therapist, to help me get my strength back and relearn to walk again. I could not walk without a walker. I couldn't even lift my legs. So I just had to get my strength back. I ended up getting my results from that muscle biopsy in October. So 10 months from the moment I had my first symptom, which my backache and muscle ache started. It turns out that I have dermatomyositis and lupus. The lupus was not diagnosed, or was not, the lupus was not shown in the muscle biopsy. My rheumatologist, I was given a new rheumatologist when I was at the hospital, and he diagnosed me with lupus based off of my symptoms and the fact that I had an overlap of dermatomyositis. So pretty much an overlap is when you have like one or more autoimmune diseases. So I have an overlap. So it turns out that I have both autoimmune diseases. So I'm on prednisone. I was on high dose prednisone for a few months, and now I'm on a low dose. So I'm getting off of it right now, but it's like a slow, steady decline. And I do IVIG treatments, and that I've noticed my strength is improved a whole lot. I am now not just using a walker, I am using the cane here. This is what I use instead of the walker. Now the walker, sometimes I do need that when I feel like I'm in pain, or more pain and weakness. I feel that, you know, I need something that's gonna be a little bit more helpful. So when I feel that I need that, I usually will use the walker. So I still have it around, but I definitely use the cane more. Now, the IVIG treatments I do every 4 weeks, and so the IVIG is a product that's made up of human antibodies from blood donors. So it's been really wonderful being able to have that done. I have it done here at home. And they just, you know, they hook me up to an IV and I get infused. So, I would like to share with you guys the definitions of my 2 autoimmune diseases and a little bit of more information about that. So lupus is a disease that occurs when your body's immune system attacks your own tissues and organs. And then dermatomyositis is an uncommon inflammatory disease marked by muscle weakness and distinctive rash. So I did not have your traditional symptoms. I did have rashes that appeared in 2019. So I have had symptoms since 2019, but they were nothing really too concerning. I never saw anyone about it. I didn't see any kind of medical professional. So really it started with back pain, and that's what the back pain was, it was the autoimmune diseases causing muscle pain and muscle weakness. I had a long list of other symptoms. I think I probably have about 25 symptoms. So I will do another YouTube video on symptoms, and I will do also a video like kind of what has helped me with managing my autoimmune diseases. So as I've been sitting here doing this video, I'm on ice. I alternate heat and ice all day long, and I have since December 5th, 2023. So anyway, I will do a video on that shortly. Before I end this video, I would like to give you guys some information on dermatomyositis specifically, because it's very rare, and I'm hoping this video will help somebody who may be like unable to get a diagnosis, or they just, you know, are experiencing, you know, symptoms, and they don't know where to start. I'm here to help in any way that I can, by putting my story out there, by encouraging people to be their own advocate and to push for answers. And I think that this video isn't just for somebody dealing with their health. It really is just about standing up for yourself and not letting people make you feel like what you're experiencing is in your head, because a lot of times this happens and it's not in your head. There really is something wrong. So I'm really just wanting to push people to, you know, stick up for themselves. So these are some statistics that I would like to share before I end this video. So less than 1 in 200 doctors has statistically seen this disease. And realistically, the number is higher than that, because the physicians that have positively diagnosed this have likely seen more than one case. There are currently over 600,000 medical doctors. Dermatomyositis is 6% of myositis cases, accounting for about 3,000 cases in the US. There's 3,000 cases in the US compared to a population of 303 million. Those are some statistics. I am a rare case, but I plan to have my story get out there and show that even though I'm a rare case, I am not just a statistic. I am a fighter, and I know that being bed and couch bound, which I still am to this day, that I have a purpose, and I may not at times feel like I have a purpose, but I feel that these diseases have given me a sense of a reason to make a difference in the world, help people who may be in a situation like I've been in. I think that my daughter is going to see this, and she's going to be influenced by my strength and how I didn't stop, and I am a fighter, and I push, and I just really feel in my heart that I was given this to deal with, and I feel that what I can do with it is going to help other people. And I have always believed that my purpose in life is to help other people. And with that being said, I have always had a passion for medicine ever since I was a little girl. I wasn't until I started researching my own diseases that I realized that I want to go back to school, and I want to become a doctor. I am really excited about it, but I also get really emotional because just when I think about, everything that I went through, I want to do things that I want to do things that I love, because life really is short, and I could have died because I went undiagnosed for so long. So I want to do things that I love, and I may be 36, but if I don't do what I want to do now, I'll never get to do it. So I think that being so close to possibly dying from my diseases, it's really opened my eyes to the fact that I am alive. So I want to actually live, and I want to do this, and I want to just get better so that I can do things that I once was able to do. And I'm just very inspired to do this. So my daughter is the best thing that ever happened to me. She's given me so much motivation to get better. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will be back. Thank you so much for watching.